Welcome, Trinity. I'm Neo.
If you're truly Neo, you could dodge bullets. Oh, God. Fancy.
Blue Chew wants to help you have better sex. Discover your options at bluechew.com. Chew it and do it. And we got a special deal for our listeners. Try Blue Chew for free when you use our promo code SOS at checkout. Just pay $5 in shipment. That's bluechew.com, promo code SOS to receive your first month for free. Visit bluechew.com for more details and important safety information, and we thank Blue Chew for sponsoring the podcast. I want to talk to you about Ron. The commuter collection can get you through any workday and straight into wherever comes next. Head to ron.com/SOS and use code SOS for 20% off your entire order. That's 20% off your entire order when you go to rhone.com/SOS and use code SOS. It's time to find your corner office comfort. Welcome to another episode of SOS VHS. Today we have a great guest. She's a member of the Bad Friends family. She's a great comedian and you all know her. She is Jessie Jetski Johnson. And we're talking about her favorite movie, The Matrix. So, get your popcorn ready and follow us down the rabbit hole. Thank you so much for doing this.
You're welcome.
Welcome to the show. Let me start by asking you something that everybody wants to know. So, in the movie, right, Neo experiences a huge change in his reality perception. How was your reality? How did your reality change when you started being a part of the Bad Friends family?
My reality did change, but kind of in reverse. Okay. Whereas like Neo went into the real world, which was desolate and like apocalyptic kind of, and that's kind of like the house I was living in before Bad Friends. And now I feel like I'm living in the Matrix.
You went into the Matrix.
Yeah.
So
I can like buy like clothes I want and food I want.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, did you make a better choice then than Neo?
Yeah.
Yeah. You're a blue pill type of person.
Yeah. What is that?
The blue pill or red pill?
Can I take them both?
Yeah.
Let's party.
Yeah. Would you have taken the blue pill?
Yeah.
You
I forget which one's which.
Okay, so
it's my favorite movie, but I forget which one's which every time.
The red pill is the pill that awakes you, you know, and you learn the truth. But even if the truth is a bad one, I guess
that's why it's so confusing because you think red and woke, you think like I think Republican.
I think it's a little different woke.
But that's why it always confuses me.
Yeah, I think that they overdose. The new woke people overdose on those pills. Yeah,
because you know Morpheus is a Democrat.
Definitely.
So why is he choosing the red pill?
Okay, so wait, for those of you know, of the people who haven't seen the movie, can you do a quick summary?
Yes.
Although I feel like most people have seen The Matrix.
It's been out a long time now, though.
Yeah.
I think younger generations haven't seen it.
All right. So, yeah.
But it's about this guy who's a computer hacker, and he works a desk job, and he's miserable, and he kind of gets swept up into this other, like, a slice of life, kind of. Like, all these people come out of nowhere and start talking to him through coding, and finally he meets up with a guy named Morpheus. I'm trying to make this quick, but it's kind of a loaded movie. And Morpheus ends up giving him a choice that he can keep going down this path with all these new strange characters he's met and learning the truth. And he decides to go on that path instead of returning back to his life and his boring job and whatever.
Mm-hmm. He
finds out that now it is actually way into the future. And life as he knew it was all a kind of a simulation, and his body was being used as a... I feel like people should know there's a big spoilers. If you're going to see The Matrix, or if you haven't seen it, this is the worst way to experience it.
Right. I feel like you can leave it there. Like, right, he discovered that he lives in a simulation.
Yeah, and to me, that's like when the movie really starts.
Really begins, right?
He's a battery.
He's a battery. Okay. So, did you see the movie when it came out?
I did, which was so weird because I don't really remember any details of it, but I remember going to the midnight showing.
Yeah.
But I had to have been like 9.
It's 1999.
Yeah.
So you were 9?
Yeah, and I remember it was the first midnight showing I'd ever been to. And
Right.
that's some of the influence why it was my favorite movie.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't really remember. I remember not understanding any of it.
Right.
And then I watched it like a million times more. But I remember loving it.
Yeah. What about it? What basically? Yeah. What did you love when you were 9, other than going to a midnight screening? And what did you love about it when you after you watch it a few times later?
Well, midnight screenings in general were so fun back in the day. I don't know if they're still like that now. If I just don't go, but I don't think they're like how they used to be.
I mean, I think the whole movie experience has changed a lot. I think people don't, don't enjoy it as much as they used to. Like
It
going
used to
to
be
the
like
movies.
so exciting,
Right.
Like, right when it came out. But now with streaming, this
Yeah.
is loud.
I feel like now the movie is instead of opening on a Thursday or whatever Friday at 12 a.m., it opens on Thursday at 5. So like people can go a little bit earlier.
Yeah, it used to be like a true midnight showing, and I had school the next day, and so my mom and sister and we all went. But I didn't really know what was happening in the movie. But obviously, the action and the special effects were so crazy, and never
cool.
seen before. But
Right.
I think that movie is just layered with metaphor. So like there is a literal plot, but there's so much metaphor you can take out. And
Yeah.
even if you don't quite understand it, there's like a lot of meaning in the movie.
Yeah.
And so it did feel like I never saw the world the same after I saw it.
Yeah.
And that's why I liked it so much.
Yeah, a lot of people even talk about like living in a simulation, and people like Elon Musk is talking about, maybe there is a chance that we can.
I got the chills.
But okay, so what do you think is stood with you all these years?
With
About-
that movie?
Yeah, with that movie. What is the thing about the movie that you think stays with you?
Every time I watch it, I kind of get new things from it, but it is interesting how we are living with AI now.
Yeah.
And when it came out, it was all sci-fi, and we were like, because there wasn't AI back then, right?
No.
And
So-
it's fairly new, right?
Yeah.
Well, I always figure
But
like
there were movies like Terminator 2 and things like that had this idea of like there's gonna be an evil AI in the future that's gonna exterminate the human race.
yeah, but this makes the most sense. That AI would become so sentient and then just like slowly take over, and then so what is in the movie, don't they like the human race to fight back, like they don't blow up the sun, but they like
Right.
they cover it so that they can't get the sun energy, and then I could see AI just like doing
that.
yeah.
Okay.
But right now it's like we're okay now. They're just making movies, and
Yeah. I think we're
the
good for now.
The AI is just
They
making
just doing
movies
the work for us.
and paintings.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love this movie. I think when it came out, I love the visuals. I think it was so cool. This idea of that bullet time, that freeze frame where like you can move inside, like the
So
camera
cool.
can still move. I thought it was beautiful and never seen before. There were like you said, like there were layers that I saw it. It was my first year in college, so a little older than you, but still a lot of themes like went over my head. It was just recently watching it and knowing a little bit about the directors, that they said that this was a metaphor for identity, gender identity, which it kind of like went over my head. Was something that you
learned that in college?
No, I learned that like I'm gonna say like listening to the directors talking about it today.
Yeah, I didn't know if they, because I know they recently said that.
They recently said that.
I've seen all 4 of them.
And then I rewatched the movie and it was like, yeah, there's all those elements in there that I didn't realize they were there when I was when I was a teenager.
Yeah, there's so much metaphor.
Yeah.
I mean, even like we talked about with Bad Friends. But yeah, I think like I never picked up on that at the beginning, but there is a certain aspect of like not gender identity, but just who you identify as and who people perceive you as.
Yeah.
Like I never thought I could be in front of the camera I always kind of was so shy and like scared to perform, and it took a long time, but now I'm doing it, and it's all those kind of lessons, like you have to believe in yourself, and I think when they plug in and stuff, and he goes, I know kung fu and like all that stuff. We do have a lot of resources on our phones now.
Yeah.
Like we can use these machines. I'm nerding out now.
Right.
But we can use like all of the resources we do have with the internet to like help us learn faster.
Yeah. Definitely. Like very, very interesting how all of that, was so no way, and now you have all that information you have in your phone. It's not plugged into your head yet.
But it could be. It very well could be. And also Neo, it's like he's the one, but he has a whole team of people helping him.
Yeah.
And I think that's like, I know I relate to that too. Like you have all the people who kind of tell you like
who's your like, Morpheus?
I think Bobby's my Morpheus.
Yeah.
I had a feeling you were gonna ask me that.
Yeah.
Because I was working at the store and Bobby would just kind of like, well, he actually might be my Trinity. Not in that way, but like he's kind of like one of those people who broke me out, because he was like, would talk to me, and then he would kind of, he asked me to do Bad Friends at one point. That's why I think he's my Morpheus, because the scene where they're on the phone and he's like, you got to get out now, and it doesn't work.
Yeah.
The first time he asked me to do Bad Friends, I couldn't do it.
Yeah, a couple times.
No, it was just one time. Well, then after I joined, there were a couple times I couldn't do it, but the first time it kind of felt like that. I was in Austin, and it did feel like this will save my life. Like, this will be a huge step for me.
Right.
And I can't do it. And then I was like, it's not gonna happen.
Yeah, but
then it did happen again.
Right. And did you meet Bobby at the Comedy Store, or how do you meet Bobby?
Yeah, at the Comedy Store.
Right, and he saw you and just approached you, say, hey, you're funny, or
he does it. He goes around, he talks to all the door guys. I think because he used to be a door guy, and he likes to he likes to kind of test people, I think, and have conversations with them and see like who can roll with stuff, and yeah, he still does it now. It's kind of cool now that I'm like, I've gotten so much from the whole family, and I can see him now talking to new door guys, and it's just like,
yeah,
that's why I think maybe I'm more like Trinity, and we're still looking for our Neo,
Yeah. Cool. Okay, I want to know a little bit about your origin story, and I know you are from Arizona. I read that you said like, well, you have a stage fright, that high school or junior high was hell. You
read that?
Yeah.
Where'd you read that?
I have
my diary.
Yeah, exactly. I got your diary. So tell me a little bit, how was your upbringing, and why it was difficult, I guess, or why do you feel like growing up was hell?
Well, junior high was hell because of puberty. Mostly.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, and like, but I had a really fun childhood because my parents, not because they were divorced, but that since they were divorced, I'd see my dad like every other weekend, and because I think of that, which is every other weekend, just twice a month.
Right.
But it sounds a little nicer, I think. But he would really make those weekends special, so we'd go to the zoo, or we'd go to like the Highland Games, which is like a Scottish festival. Like we'd always go to like these festivals in town, and so that was always fun. And then at my mom's house, it was just my mom and sister and I, and she's a single mom working, and we kind of just were wild in that house, and it was really fun. We didn't have a lot of rules.
Yeah.
And so,
was your sister better at school than you?
My sister is 6 years older than me, and she's really smart, and just one of those people who could take up any skill really fast. So she like,
maybe she has a hack,
I think she might have. Yeah. You think so?
Maybe.
Yeah, she will she did some art classes, and then would just be amazing at art, and then picked up music, and amazing in music, and she can just pick up skills really fast. But in junior high, I remember we had this thing called the red page, which is in our planner, and you have to get a stamp in every class, and if you miss one, they tear out your red page. And if you don't have your red page, you can't go to the end of the year pool party. And then I went to PE class one day, and I started my period for the first time. Can I say that on here? Period.
I think so.
Okay.
Period.
Okay. And so I was in swim class. So I go to my gym teacher and I'm like freaking out, and I'm like,
Right.
I can't swim. And she goes, well, you should have had a note. I was like, well, I didn't know it was going to happen. And she tore out my red page. And then I got detention. And then I also couldn't go to the end of the year party. And on top of everything, I started my period. So it's like the worst day of my life.
Interesting. I mean, I hope like those things have changed. I imagine they might.
Well,
Like, because those are the things, like when I remember when I was in junior high, like there was no girl who would talk about these things, like everybody was like, it was very private, embarrassing. And therefore, like, I don't know. And everybody hides it. So it's not part of real life. It's
no.
kind of those,
That's what I knew I wasn't in the Matrix.
Right,
I was like,
right.
this is real. And
Right.
my sister found out, and she was in high school. And one day she skipped school and came to my junior high and talked to the principal. And I got called to the principal's office, and they told me they were really sorry about what happened, and they gave me back my red page.
Right. Wow.
And so my sister is just awesome in that way. And
Yeah. Maybe your favorite movie should be Carrie. I don't
No,
Carrie.
it wasn't like that.
You're right.
The teacher's like throwing tampons at me.
So and then is that when you started like comedy or your music and comedy? All the I guess, were you a nerdy kid from the start?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, my favorite movie was The Matrix at 9.
Right. No.
And then in high school, I played band in elementary school, junior high, and then in high school I still played band, but there was a sketch comedy group there, so I started doing sketch comedy, and we did like 2 shows a year, one per semester, and we would write our own sketches. We'd do them live, and we'd film some too, so it was like live and video, and students would come out and watch it. So
and how did you? Because like I remember doing like theater in when I was in middle school and things like that. But how do you decided that was what you wanted to do?
Well, I was playing music for so long, and I loved it. I felt like I would go to school for music because it was like my path for so long.
Mm-hmm.
And I ended up going to, that was kind of like a red pill, blue pill moment for me. It was like, do I keep going down this path I know, or do I take the leap and go into this thing that I know I really love and it feels right? But I was too scared, and a teacher of mine actually sat me down at lunch in high school and told me, like, hey, women in comedy are really big right now. It's like when Tina Fey and Amy Poehler were really big, and he's like, and you have, you're doing it here, like, you have a real future, and, you should do it. And I was too scared, so I went to school for music and ended up dropping out, and it took me a lot longer, but I ended up still doing the thing.
Yeah.
Eventually,
I mean, I think obviously it takes a lot of bravery, I think, to like go into any of those professions, but it was comedy some sort of like outlet to get out of your junior high nightmares, or like is something that you always loved, like watching comedy movies or comedy specials? How do you fall in love with comedy, I guess, is the question.
Well, my family laughs a lot.
Mm-hmm.
We all make jokes and laugh, and movies are I like comedy movies too, but I think it was just something that I was like good at, and it would be like how I would get attention.
Right.
So like
okay,
in class, or like I was always like the funny girl in class, and so that was like my thing to like survive socially. And I switched schools a lot too. I switched schools like 7 times.
Oh,
So I think that's like a skill to fit in. It's like
definitely.
yeah.
Oh, so okay. Going. So what do you think your takeaway from the Matrix would be today? If you had to
The
say, like,
what?
the takeaway from the Matrix.
You
what-
called it the mattress?
Yeah, that's the Spanish version. Matrix is the Spanish version. Sorry.
Andres, English, please.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah, my producer. It's producer. So I was thinking, like, because it's a movie, like you said, have many meanings, and a lot of it has to do with choices, with destiny and fate, versus choices. And I was thinking, like, once you watch it and like reflect on your life, did you take, how do you see the movie today? Like, what's the biggest takeaway?
I think the biggest takeaway, despite whatever metaphor you pick up out of it, is to do what you want to do in life, because it is really short and it might not even be real. So you better do what you want to do and not what other people want you to do.
Yeah.
And I think
We like that. Life is short.
What do
Look
you
at
say?
me. I'm Andres' friend from the plane.
Oh, whoa.
We've been here for years.
This skeleton has been embodied by different like spirits at different times in the show.
Could be 1,000 years.
Yeah.
Could be a month.
Oh. This episode is sponsored by Blue Chew. Let's talk about sex. Summer is around the corner. Do you want to bring the heat into the bedroom? Now you can increase your performance and get that extra confidence in bed. Listen up, BlueChew.com. Blue Chew is a unique service that delivers the same active ingredients as Viagra and Cialis and Levitra, but in chewable tablets and at a fraction of the cost. The best part? It's all done online. So you don't have to visit the doctor, no awkward conversations, no waiting in line at the pharmacy. Also, Blue Chew's tablets are made in the USA and prepared and shipped direct to your door in a discreet package. So nobody has to know what you're ordering. Talking about sex is something that I found Americans don't do as much as they do in Europe. And I found that very interesting. So I think like Blue Chew is going to help a lot of people who don't want to go to an office, who don't want to have like, awkward conversations about sex. They feel uncomfortable. Since Blue Chew is around, I think they help tons of people feeling more confident in the bedroom. So Blue Chew wants to help you have better sex. Discover your options at BlueChew.com. Chew it and do it. And we have a special offer for our listeners. Try Blue Chew for free when you use our promo code SOS at checkout. Just pay $5 in shipment. That's BlueChew.com, promo code SOS to receive your first month for free. Visit BlueChew.com for more details and important safety information. And we thank you, Blue Chew, for sponsoring the show. Hey guys, I want to talk to you about Ron. In the morning, every morning I have to iron all my shirts, make sure they're pressed, if not full of wrinkles. Also, another problem that I used to have, especially since I moved to LA, is like I'm running around all the time and try to do a couple different activities in the day. And usually I will have to change or take 2 shirts with me. And then this miraculous thing happened. Ron sponsored SOS VHS, and now I can't wear anything else. Men's closets were due for a radical reinvention, and Ron stepped up to the challenge. Ron's commuter collection is the most comfortable, breathable, and flexible set of products known to man, and here's why. Ron helps you to get ready for any occasion with the commuter collection, which offers the world's most comfortable pants, dress shirts, quarter zips, and polos. You never have to worry about what to wear when you have the Ron's commuter collection. I love it. It's so elegant. It fits really well. And I can, beat George at ping pong outside the office and then come inside and just do the podcast. Doesn't smell. It doesn't get wrinkled. It's awesome. The commuter collection can get you through any workday and straight into whatever comes next. Head to ron.com/SOS and use promo code SOS to save 20% off your entire order. That's 20% off your entire order when you head to RHONE.com/SOS and use code SOS. It's time to find your corner office comfort.
It's
Okay.
rapid fire time.
Okay. Yeah, so now the producer wants to ask you like a really series of rapid questions.
Okay.
All right. Oppenheimer or Barbie?
Barbie.
Audience score versus critic score on Rotten Tomatoes.
Audience score.
Oh, I like that one. Although the critics are smart too. What movie line do you quote the most?
The critics are the agents.
Oh, yeah.
What movie line do you quote the most?
Okay, I know this is rapid fire, but can I say something really quick?
Yeah.
I have a terrible memory with like details in movies.
Are you a very visual person?
Yeah, like red pill, blue pill. I'm gonna get so much shit for that online.
Right.
Not knowing that earlier, but like I'm so bad at remembering. I think it's like why I really like memorizing my stand up and
Yeah, I
like,
was gonna ask you,
trumpet and stuff.
how do you have to study a lot?
Yeah, I practice every day. If I'm not like doing stand up, I'll like go through my jokes in my head and like trumpet. I practice every day, and you guys see in Bad Friends when we go out on stage live, I have all the music like on my stand. Like,
right.
So yeah, I'm so bad at when people are in conversation and they'll do like da-da-da, like a movie quote, and I'm
Right.
like, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Interesting. Yeah, some people also have better memories. Like their brains work different. Like if you're visual or if you're like you learn like lines. But also and we'll go back to the producer for a second because
Yeah, thank you, Andres.
I read that you were like that you had a stage fright.
Yeah.
So how do you go from that to say like, okay, that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna be in front of like hundreds of people every day as my job.
Well, I think it was just a matter of doing like I started with music. So music it was kind of easier because I was in a whole band and I was just in the section, like the trumpet section.
Right.
And then sketch comedy, I was reading scripts, so it still wasn't me. But stand up, you're so vulnerable. I would have my set list and it would be shaking, and it's just like I don't know. There was something in me that just really wanted to keep doing it, but even though it was scary, and I honestly, it wasn't even until like last year that I'd get so nervous before I'd go up on stage. But after the tour, and being in front of like thousands of people every night, I go on stage now anywhere like since we've been back, and I feel really comfortable.
Yeah, you were amazing on tour, but I watched basically a compilation right from your very first set on Kill Tony to today.
Oh yeah.
And even sometimes where you would have the same idea for a joke, that you would have today, but the confidence today has nothing to do, like you were like kind of like a little laughing or protected, kind of like I would feel like you were very aware of the environment, and now you like plow through with no problem. But I guess like that's practice. I don't know.
I think it is repetition, and you just get comfortable in your environment. It's been exciting though to get to that place.
Right.
And who knows where we'll keep going.
Oh, it's a scary walking on that stage is just insane.
No, it's like jumping across the building.
Right, it is jumping,
you don't believe it.
Yeah.
Okay, back to rapid fire.
Yeah.
Not so rapid. What's the last movie you walked out of?
I don't know if I've ever walked out of a movie.
Oh.
Wow.
Sorry, it's
Very rapid.
fire.
Yeah.
I took so long in the last one. I'd elaborate, but I don't want to be rude.
What's the earliest time of day you've watched a movie?
What question is this, Carlos?
What's the earliest time of day you've gone to the movie theater? 10 a.m.
maybe,
showing.
Maybe 10 a.m.
Okay. Thank you. What actor would play you in a biopic of your life?
Oh, Margot Robbie.
Thong or granny panties?
Carlos! Next question.
What's the last movie you saw on a plane?
I don't watch movies on planes.
What do you do on planes then?
Like I'll play video games. I'll play my Zelda game, or I'll read, or I'll play games on my phone.
Oh, on Nintendo Switch?
Yeah.
We don't have one of those here. We crashed when the Wii was out.
Well,
all right, that's it for rapid fire.
Thank you.
Okay, and I want to go back to the movie for a second because this movie
so good.
Yeah, and it's so rich, and so one of the things that, are you a fan of anime or like manga and all of that stuff? And
I think I know where you're going with this.
yeah,
The Animatrix?
what? Oh.
Never
No,
mind.
but no. But have you seen the Animatrix?
Yeah.
Yeah, interesting. Because the Wachowski sisters today, they were huge fans of manga and anime, and a lot of visuals from the Matrix, the original Matrix, are like, I don't know if you saw Ghost in the Shell back in the, it's a movie from the 80s, or Nausicaa, which was Rudy's favorite movie. Like, it had like those monsters that would pretty much, you have them as the Sentinels in the Matrix. But yeah, the Animatrix is a great point, because the Matrix is the first experiment. I don't know if you know this concept of transmedia, like some sort of like narrative that is not only in one place, but you can access from different source of media. And like Marvel is something that does that. You can watch this movie and this show, and they're all related in the same universe. And the Matrix did a video game, the short films, and they all have different parts of the information of the full world of the Matrix, I guess.
They were the first ones?
The first ones to do it to that extent. You know, they recorded like, I think they shot like an hour of movie that is not in the movie, that is in the video game. You have to pass the screens to watch that.
That is really cool.
That's pretty cool.
And then the fourth movie is about making of the video game.
Right.
It's just crazy.
Yes. The fourth movie, I'm not sure how I feel about it. I think I was already, I love the first one so much that the other ones like disappointed me.
Well, if you have me back 4 times, you know what we'll do.
We'll do all of them?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I got a lot to talk about, especially the fourth one.
Okay. Did you know that Will Smith was offered the role for the Neo role?
Yes.
Okay.
I thought you said Willow Smith, but it was like not making fun of your accent the whole time. But
I'm used to it.
But his daughter is Willow Smith.
Yeah.
I was like, that would be crazy.
I mean, his wife is in the second movie.
I know, it's crazy. But yeah, that would have been a whole nother movie. I think about that all the time, to be honest, and how that would have changed literally the world, because Keanu Reeves gets such a good. There is one scene at the end that I remember that always made me laugh a lot, though, because he's like, if I remember it right, it's like one of the final fight scenes, and he's running away from the agent, and the operator is telling him, "Go to the door on your left," and he goes like to the right, and he's like, "No, your other left."
Right. Yes.
But this is when he's supposed to be actualized.
Yes.
So it's just like. That part was very like a Keanu Reeves moment, but it makes you feel like anybody could like live their life to their fullest potential, no matter how you might perceive yourself or how you feel about yourself. And I wonder if Will Smith was doing that because he was already such a movie star.
Yeah.
But he always, and I know Keanu Reeves was too, but Will Smith was such like an action star. And
yeah, I think he rejected this movie to do Wild Wild West, which obviously turned not to be the greatest movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like Keanu Reeves was born for this role. I mean, I guess some people might say John Wick now, but I think this was his thing. His legacy is gonna be his Neo.
Yeah.
And then I think the Carrie-Anne Moss Trinity character was gonna be played by Sandra Bullock, which also
I didn't know that.
So
she kills it. Carrie-Anne Moss kills it as Trinity.
Right, and even like I can't think of her outside of this role. You know, like she is Trinity.
Yeah. Whoa.
So yeah, it's very interesting how movies are like lightning the bottle. Sometimes it just happens. A lot of serendipity.
Yeah.
So were you aware of the director's kind of like trajectory, their life changes, I guess, and all of that? Because when they shot this movie, there were 2 guys, and now there are 2 women. But there's a lot of elements that they were like putting in throughout their career about like this identity, right? Like this idea of Mr. Anderson versus Neo, or they have a character in the movie called Switch, who originally was gonna play by a girl inside the Matrix, but a guy in the real world, and kind of like because it's supposed to be right, like how you see yourself inside the Matrix.
Yeah.
Yeah. So all of that I think is very interesting. Things that I didn't pick up on when I watched it the first time, and like how there's a lot of androgynous characters.
Yeah, I knew that, but that just kind of feels like the wave of the new world, like,
right?
For real. But I think, it was so shocking when one of them did it, because I think it's not as shocking now, but at the time it was.
Right.
And then when both of them did it, it was like, whoa, you never see that.
Right.
But it makes sense. And then, I wonder. My biggest memory about the Wachowskis was when I watched a making of The Matrix, and they were all on like these bungees, like doing martial arts and like training.
Right.
And they were like behind the thing, like giggling because they were so excited about their movie getting made.
Right.
They just seemed like little kids to me.
Yeah. It's have you seen any of their other movies?
Yeah, I've seen Jupiter Ascending.
Okay.
Which I liked, but I can tell why a lot of people didn't like it.
Yeah. But not my favorite. Did you see the one they did before The Matrix called Bound?
No.
And it has a lot of the same themes and same camera style and same the phones and the boots and the I don't know. And it's a lesbian thriller. It has a lot of those elements.
I know what Carlos is gonna watch.
Yeah, I mean, this movie is mind blowing. It's the first movie I've ever owned on DVD. You know, I remember buying the DVD as the first DVD, and I eventually had like a, 1,500, and now I have like almost 10,000 DVDs.
You have to say that on here.
Yeah,
that's the first DVD you bought.
Yeah, the very first DVD I bought was The Matrix, and I think it was the highest movie ever to be sold on DVD. You know, I think they sold 3 million copies of The Matrix on DVD.
Wow, it changed the world.
Yeah, it was mind blowing because it was also like, it was visually fun, like very entertaining, and also had all these deep meanings and like interesting ways of looking at your life. The blue pill, red pill, right? Like it becomes part of the zeitgeist or whatever, your reality now. Like you use pop culture.
Zeitgeist.
Yes,
I know what you mean, because it's funny you use that word, because I remember getting super into conspiracy theories when I was in high school, and The Matrix became a big part of like the zeitgeist conspiracy. Like conspiracy theories in the zeitgeist. Like, if you went to any bookstore, there is a section for conspiracy theories, and it's small. There's always one there, and there's always like books about the Matrix, and like, they tie it into the government, and like, it's just crazy how like that way it affected the world. Yeah, and it kind of makes me laugh now, because I think a lot of people maybe who are still into conspiracy, especially now, and like QAnon, and who probably think something about like the government is controlling us and the vaccine is keeping us in the Matrix or whatever. They're going to learn it's all just allegory for trans people.
Yeah, I just feel like, so what do you think how do you got out of that conspiracy theory? What was the thing that made you kind of like, because when you're in that mindset, right, you don't trust anyone, you don't, right, like you basically, or you trust the wrong things. I
think I got off drugs.
Yeah, okay.
To be honest.
That's how you got into conspiracy theories?
Yeah, drugs.
Okay, that's...
Cocaine.
I thought you were going to say, education, or no.
Cool. A lot of weed. It started with weed. It was a gateway for me.
Okay.
And
this is in high school?
High school, I started smoking weed, and then once I graduated, because I was so focused, like music class, like I had like 5 music classes in high school. I was getting straight A's. I spoke at my graduation. I was doing this comedy thing. I was like very business minded in high school, and I was kind of smoking weed. But once I graduated, and I had this full ride, and didn't really care about stuff, I like just started trying every drug. And so I was doing acid and ecstasy and shrooms and coke, and I was just like going on YouTube and going down these rabbit holes and like learning things that obviously were never taught in high school, because it's not based on any truth.
Right.
And I would just start making all these weird connections, and yeah, I went down like.
Yeah, it's the rabbit hole is like, well, Neo goes on a rabbit hole too, right? Like, just your white rabbit was up your nose.
My white rabbit was YouTube.
Yeah. Okay. So you said like, then when did you stop drugs? Before moving to LA, or?
Yeah. Okay. I'm one of the few people who got like stand-up helped me get sober. A lot of people get in stand-up and start doing drugs. Yeah. But I was like reversed, because I wanted to take it seriously. And
of course, yeah. And how did you make that decision to come to LA? I think it was like 2017.
How do you know all this? Yeah, it was like 2017. I first visited LA in 2016, and I did Kill Tony. I went and signed up, and I got pulled out of the bucket first. And it really did feel like a destiny moment to me, even though I know it's all random. Yeah. But I remember walking on stage, first time ever at the Comedy Store, like stepping foot there, it felt like an energy there. Like I felt drawn to the building, which I still do today. But I've never felt like a place having a spirit like that. Right. And then getting called first, now I'm on the main room of the Comedy Store, and that whole experience felt like a dream. Yeah. And I think it was mixed in with a little bit of like stage fright and excitement, you know, and so now every time I'm on that stage, I feel good, but it's not as
Right.
it's not as whoa.
Do you remember the first joke you told?
Yeah, I do.
What was it?
I don't do it anymore.
Okay, then it's safe.
Yeah, the joke is, I know I look like I'm 12, but I fuck like I'm 16.
Wow. So in perfect. Perfect. So you said the tone like, so do the Tony and the guys like you immediately, or how did that connection happen? Because you were on Kill Tony for a lot of, first doing the what's it called, like 1 minute stand up?
The bucket, yeah, or 1 minute, yeah.
Yeah. Then you were in the band. Then you were a guest.
I know. I really feel part of that family too. Like similar to with Bad Friends. It's like it was good. I just kept. I fell in love with the place, and then being in Phoenix, I've always felt like I need to move to LA to pursue stand up, and now here I am knowing this place I can sign up for and go do it while I meet other comics and go explore the rest of the scene too.
Yeah.
And so I went about a year and a half later in 2017. And the second week I was there, I just kept getting pulled out week after week. And because of that, people in the audience that were comics would see me, and then they'd come up to me and be like, I have a show here. And that's how I kind of started getting into the scene. And
do you have any, when you moved here, did you know anyone?
I know a few people. Like my friend who helped me find a place out here is Michael Longfellow, who's now on Saturday Night Live.
Wow.
Which was really cool because we started in Arizona, and he helped me find an apartment here. And I remember him like driving around, and like we would just drive through the hills and look at the houses and like dream. And he said when we were driving down Sunset, like after that, he looked at the billboards and he goes, "Can you picture yourself on a billboard?" And I was like, "No." And he's like, "I can." I was like, "Really?" He goes, "Yeah, I could see you on there too." And it was just this special moment. But I went home the other day, and he's on a billboard on Saturday Night Live, and I called him and told him about it, and he said, "Well, there's too many other people on it, if you ask me."
Yeah, but this is a great Matrix moment, right? At the end, towards the end of the movie, just before that moment that you were mentioning, he has to fight the Agent Smith, and he's about to run, but he actually turns around and then say like, what's he doing? And then Morpheus says something like, "Oh, he's starting to believe, he's believing in himself." And that idea of like, you need to believe that it's possible before it is possible. So
yeah,
like that visualization and like believing in yourself.
I love that. And I think it's important to like, he needed other people to believe in him, like throughout the whole movie.
Right.
And I feel like that a lot, like with you guys and Bobby and Andrew, like I think that's what's really made me step into my own, and like in Annie and Jesselnick too, like and Polly, like all these people coming into my life and saying like, "We believe in you, like you have a future." And then I'm like, oh, if these guys are saying it, like I don't doubt them. Yeah,
it's almost impossible to do it just by yourself, right? Anything.
Yeah.
So did you have any mentors at the beginning, or someone that you could like rely on when you moved here?
Yeah, well, Michael was great because he knew the scene, so he'd show me like other places.
He was already more established here.
Yeah. He was like, he wasn't he was still doing mics and stuff at that time, but he'd been in the scene for a bit. So I would go like to an open mic, and we'd maybe go get dinner or something. So it's like I wasn't just alone all the time. And and my roommate Jaime, who I still talk to today, he plays music. So I had a friend who was outside of comedy that I lived with, and he was cool, but it did feel a lot of like very lonely when I first moved here. Right. I think the city is super lonely. Yeah. If you don't know people, like it's difficult to meet people. Like it's too big, too wide, too spread out. It's just, I felt super lonely. A full year when here, like, what am I doing in this city? It takes a while. Depressing. Yeah. Yeah. And I was on an air mattress, and it was just like, that was a really hard time for sure. I remember my sister came out at one point because I got this job at a bakery, like coffee shop, and I needed black shoes, and I didn't have money for them. And she like was like, "Yeah, I'll buy your shoes." And then she also, because of that, like needing shoes, she like took me to the grocery store and like loaded up a cart, and I couldn't believe it. I was like using a knife to open cans.
Right. So okay. So how was your life then? Like you were working, doing like day jobs like that, and then writing comedy and going to the comedy store at night. How did you live those first? How long did you do that for?
That was like a few years, and what happened was I had this like work from home job, but it was hard to maintain because I started in Arizona. So when I moved here, it was really hard to maintain. So I lost that job, and I would do audience warm up, which was awful. Or no, I'm sorry, not audience warm up. That's actually a great job. Clapping. What do you call that? Like
Just
audience work.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
to coordinator, like whatever.
No, I was in the audience.
Oh,
I
you
would-
were on the
I
audience,
would
like you're like a yeah.
It was like
I see.
2 hours. It like in the studio, but probably like 3 hours because you get there, you wait in a big line, they herd you in. They don't treat you very well, and
Yeah.
at the end they literally. I remember they paid me $25 in cash, and it changed my life. Like but sometimes you'd go, and you'd go pay for parking and everything. You'd get there, and they say we don't need you, and then you just like wasted money parking, and so like that's how much it was like survival mode. And
Yeah.
and I would get these like coffee shops that like I worked at La Monarca for a bit, and it was weird because I was like the only one who didn't speak Spanish, and I honestly think the guy hired me as a joke because I have a ton of barista experience, and so I thought maybe that's why I got the job. But then he left. Like it was like his last day of work. I found out when I showed up for work,
Okay.
and then nobody else. Some people spoke English and Spanish,
Yeah.
but everyone spoke Spanish, and I couldn't hang with that job.
Right.
Yeah.
No
And
more
so-
café con leche.
Yeah, I learned that pretty quick.
Right.
But
Yeah.
and then everyone would just come in and look at me like, "What's she doing here?" But what really saved my life was a friend from film school, Sam Trevy, who's works in production now in like big movies. But he messaged me. I hadn't talked to him in years, but we went to Scottsdale Community College together for film.
Yeah.
And he said, "Hey, do you want to work on the Late Late Show as a production assistant? And can you drive a 15-passenger van?" And I said yes. And then I
Could you?
immediately went on YouTube and wrote how to drive a 15-passenger van.
That's the poor man Trinity.
Yeah.
Can I get a
I can drive
helicopter? Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
And you didn't kill anyone.
No, I've been driving since I was 13, so I feel confident in driving.
Yeah.
But I did watch like a video on how to do it, and there's like some tips of like watch the wheel when you're turning a corner, and
Right.
and I don't know. But when we did it, it was kind of the perfect job for me, not just money wise, but we would do those carpool karaoke segments, and I would drive all of the industry or like the entourage and the producers.
Yeah.
And we would follow James Corden and the star. And there was a car in front of him and 2 cars behind me. So it was a huge caravan, and we'd go 5 miles an hour all over Hollywood. So as someone who just moved to LA, I was just basically
getting the tour.
yeah,
Yeah.
getting the layout of the land, and we had like cops that would help our caravan, so it was very safe. And I also was around like the biggest stars in the world, so
Right.
getting used to that, which is something I think to overcome too when you don't see celebrities a lot. It's kind of weird
Absolutely.
at first.
Yeah.
And then I had a job, and then I would work there for a long time and started getting more production jobs.
Yeah. One question I have, because it's I skipped it, but yeah, you drop out of your
music school.
music school in college, and then you enroll in film school.
Yeah.
How because film school and comedy, I mean, sure, they have connection, is the entertainment, but why film school?
I think I was just really scared to do stand-up, but I knew stand-up was the thing I wanted to do, and so I just kept doing things close to it that weren't it.
Right.
Or like being an entertainer, so it's like thinking, oh, maybe I'll be a director, or maybe I'll be an editor. But in film school I ended up making like comedic shorts anyway.
Yeah.
But I'm glad I did it, because I think it's really important to kind of understand how each part of the filming process is.
Right.
And then if you're on a set, you're not just like a fish out of water.
Absolutely. Yeah. It helps Yeah, you edit your own sketches and things like that, right?
Yeah.
So are you doing Kill Tony at the same time as you're doing this the James Corden show? Is this like you do like do you live double lives like day job and night job, or how does that work?
Well, I would still get pulled out of the bucket and everything, and I slowly would get eventually put onto the band. But I think what happened was when I got put into the band, it was just kind of once in a while. I would fill in for Jeremiah. And then when I full-time joined, by that time I had a full-time job at Viacom as an office PA.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'd work 9 to 5 and then I go do shows at night. And it was tough.
Yeah.
But when I was a production assistant, my people at the Late Late Show were so cool. Stu and Michelle are their names. They do different jobs now, but they were so good to me that if I just told them when they hired me, like, "Hey, I got to show at this time. Can I leave a little early?"
Right.
There would be enough production assistants that they would let me go. But there were so many other production assistant jobs, so I wasn't that close with them. You know, working on Funny or Die or Master Chef, like,
yeah,
kind of just take all the jobs you can get when you're at that level.
Of course.
Yeah, and they're like 14-hour days.
Yeah.
And I can't believe I work that hard sometimes.
Yeah, when you look back, it's kind of insane that you're able to do it.
Yeah, like 60-hour weeks. And then I would go, like, now I just kind of wake up in my 1-bedroom apartment and walk my dog, take a nap.
Yeah,
and go do stand-up.
Because now you're only doing stand-up, right? Or
yeah,
that's crazy, no? Like how cool life
really
is,
cool.
but also it is hard work.
It feels really good. I feel like the pressure sometimes just to make sure I'm continually putting out a good product for people that support me, so like they want to keep supporting me and just giving back, you know. But I feel like right now I'm fulfilling it and working hard towards that, and it's all this free time I have. I like try to remember to funnel that into what I'm doing, you know.
And was your dream in, you know, when you were in Arizona to do a stand-up, or was your dream, is that and if it's so, that dream changed?
My dream changes all the time, but I think what it really boils down to is just doing whatever I want.
Okay. Doing whatever you want, whenever you want. Yeah. That's a Bobby. You just hung out with Bobby too much.
Bobby is my mother.
Right. You want to be Bobby. That's funny. But yeah, because I think I heard you saying that you wanted to be more in that comedic actor, or like being on movies or TV. Is that still something that you're pursuing?
I love doing that, but I think it's got to be like a right project for me. Like, I would love to work with friends, you know, on like a passion project. I'm kind of like, for now, I don't know if I want to keep auditioning. It's hard to keep auditioning for stuff. Like,
yeah, because 99.999% of auditions are always like no's.
I know. It's a lot of rejection, and rejection is good for you, I think, to a certain level, but also if it's a project I don't really care about, I don't want to do it. But I think if I just keep honing my skills on stage, and then, you know, I do kind of think we are all moving into this like self-production, right?
Yes.
Doesn't it seem like it? And now SAG's on strike, and the Writers Guild's on strike, and it just kind of feels like we can make our own stuff like you're doing right here. And
I think eventually that's also what happened with me, right? Like if you want to do it and nobody's helping you, you have to start doing it yourself, and then that's sort of like producing mind, you know, that everybody has to have. So in going back to that moment that we were talking about, when Neo starts believing in himself, what was that moment for you? At what moment you said, okay, I can do this?
Oh, there's different levels.
But did you ever thought of quitting?
I don't think I've ever thought of quitting. I think once the lockdown happened, and with Viacom, I got let go. But then I started getting unemployment. So for me, it really was great for me because I was making probably more money than I ever had in my life. Like by saving, you know, we weren't spending much with the lockdown, but I was getting the 2 weeks every payment, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and I was able to still do Kill Tony every week because we were still filming in a studio, similar to like to you guys' podcast because people wouldn't come in, they would call in.
Right.
So I was really lucky to be one of the few people to perform every week during the lockdown.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it was like just around that time where I was like, well, I know I'm getting aid from the government, but I am only doing entertainment right now. And so I'm just going to keep doing this. And I got the job at the Comedy Store, but to me that felt like it was still in my career path because to get that job you have to audition with stand up. So even then I felt like for a few years now I've been making a living off of my talents.
Yeah.
So I guess it's been like a few years.
Yeah.
It was because of the government.
See your conspiracy theories, and then the government was a good guy.
I know. I'm one of the few people who are like, I'm excited to make a lot of money to pay back to my taxes because the system really did work for me.
Yeah.
I used food stamps too when I first moved out here, and it was the first time I was able to get like spices and stuff because were so expensive.
Yeah.
And I was able to get food I wanted to eat instead of just like the cheapest food on the shelf, you know.
Yeah. What did your family think of you when you decided to do that? Did they thought that you were crazy?
I think my mom was really excited and my dad was kind of scared.
Yeah.
He was like they were excited for me, my dad and my stepmom, but there was a little bit of like he would keep reminding me that I could always move home if I needed to.
Right.
You know, which is nice to say, but I think there was a little bit of doubt in their minds.
Right.
And yeah, my mom was. I think she's always just been like, "Go do it," you know.
Yeah, and I know during the Bad Friend tour that your parents went to,
Yeah.
family went to see you. Was that a good like this reassuring moment or something like a proud moment for you with them?
I think so. I think I know like especially in Phoenix because that's where a lot of my family is. My dad and stepmom are in North Carolina, and my sister's now in Michigan. But my mom and aunt and uncle and cousins all came out to Phoenix. And,
right.
Yeah, they had a great time.
How difficult was to get the door job at the Comedy Store? How competitive is it for people who don't know how that works? How does that work?
I think it's incredibly competitive, and I was hanging around the Comedy Store for like 5 years before I auditioned. So I never even thought about being a door guy, to be honest, but I was hanging out there just as we were getting out of the lockdown. And I remember my buddy Dave Waite, who's a hilarious comic, he goes, oh, so at this time I was playing trumpet in the Roast Battle band. Roast Battle for a very short time. I had like a band play. And I was playing trumpet with Joel Jimenez up there. And Dave Waite, I was in the parking lot and he goes, hey, would you ever want to be a door guy? And I was like, well, yeah. And he's like, well, you should audition. I go, what do you mean? He goes, we're looking for one more person.
Oh.
And so I hit up the booker, Emily, and auditioned and got a callback, auditioned again, and got the job.
Cool.
So
yeah, it's like you. It's like I feel like it's working like an agency, right? Like you have to start there, and like everybody who's there is a comic, and so that it's kind of like going up the ranks, and
yeah, you have to hang out there for so long,
right?
And just hang out and get involved in ways you can. Like I got involved with Kill Tony and Roast Battle, and I was just around all the time, and I started to meet everybody. And luckily, I think towards the end of the lockdown, Kill Tony was performing there in the main room before they moved to Austin. And so during that time, it was such a small group of people there that I met all the management really well, and I met Danny, the sound guy, and I met like all the people that make the store, that you maybe don't meet if you're just hanging on the patio.
Were you only hanging with comedians?
Beforehand, because I was like, I wasn't gonna
so
go
you started
talk to the general.
Was your dating pool comedians?
No.
Did you date because I feel like is it too much to date?
Yeah, I was. I was
comedian?
dating a comedian.
right? Like, is it competitive? It's like, see who's funny or who's getting.
I don't know because I dated one comedian and we dated for 4.5 years.
Yeah, so pretty and long enough to, yeah.
Yeah. But we met going to a show. We did a show in Tulare, which is like pretty far.
Yeah.
And so we had met at open mics and just became friends and liked each other, and then we did this show in Tulare, and
Right.
I think it was like a long road trip, and so we're like, okay, we like each other, and then we eventually like went on a date and started dating.
Yeah.
And then I don't think I will go back to dating comics, so
Yeah.
it's too complicated.
You need some sane people around you too, right? Like yeah.
Doctor.
Right.
I have to go date a doctor.
Yeah. Exactly. What about your roommates? Because you said that you live with 4 roommates. Were they all comedians?
5 roommates. Well, because I have
5 roommates.
my ex and I shared a room, and then we had 4 roommates.
Okay.
And then at one point we actually did have a 5th roommate, so there was 6 people living there at one time.
Yeah. I mean, that reminds me a lot of like Bobby's stories about like when he moved here, and it sounds like incredibly difficult.
It is really difficult, and I do think it's more common than I thought before, because I hear more, even not just Bobby, but I hear that happens to a lot of people.
Yeah, and this city is so
Did you ever have a
unaffordable.
lot of roommates out here?
I mean, to be honest, when I moved here,
Oops, sorry.
I slept on George's floor for 6 months.
What?
Yeah, 'cause I mean, my story is like for another day, but yeah, I moved here and it was like so difficult to make friends, to like, get even a job, and like wanted to do entertainment. So everybody else, right? Like it's 14 million people trying to do the same thing.
It does feel good to remember that struggle, though, right?
Oh,
Sometimes I'm like, I'm
Yeah.
really like winning a lot right now, and I do feel like I have a bit of imposter syndrome sometimes.
right.
I don't know if you ever struggle with that.
Absolutely. Also, you meet a lot of people who have connections or whose families, like the whole Nepo baby thing.
Yeah.
But I mean, I would trade my situation. I don't feel like that much pride in like, oh, I struggled for 10 years and now I can make this. I would be fine like if I could do it in the year 1.
Oh, yeah, yeah, I know.
But yeah, it's one of those cities. So then you have roommates, you are doing all of this stuff, and then was Bad Friends the catalyst, I guess, to change all of that, your living situation, your job situation?
I think, and don't tell Bobby and Andrew.
Right. I will keep it. Don't worry, they're not gonna watch this show.
I'm just kidding anyway, but I think the real catalyst was the booker, Emily LaFord, making me a door guy.
Uh-huh.
Because that's where I met Bobby.
That was the moment.
Yeah, and that's where I started doing reps at the store and getting more confident, and like,
Right.
if that hadn't happened, I never would have met Bobby. And like, I guess you could keep going back.
Right. No, there's always
Yeah.
different milestones, but that's the biggest one.
Yeah, because like getting the job at the time was like, I couldn't believe it was happening. And
Yeah.
that felt life changing, and it's just like things just keep going forward. It's really exciting right now, and
Yeah.
I it's funny you're asking all these questions, because I think I do just have a bad memory. I forget about a lot of this stuff. Like, I just don't think about it.
Does that work in your
tomorrow
favor?
and tonight.
Like you don't. Is this having a bad memory like a defense mechanism so you can like survive?
I think it is, but I think it comes from having divorced parents. Not to get too deep, but I've heard because it's like hard when you go from family to family. Like it's hard to process that as a kid.
Yeah.
It's like so sad to not be with your whole family, so you start really living in the moment, because it's
Compartmentalizing a lot of the things. Yeah.
Yeah, but it helps. It's a double-edged sword,
Yeah.
because it helps me really focus on what I'm doing, and like right here, all I'm thinking about is
This moment.
Yeah, but
Mhm.
but then sometimes I do forget about like other things. My
Right.
electric bill.
Right.
Yeah.
Your car.
Yeah.
Okay. What is do you remember the first impression you have of Bobby and Andrew?
With Bobby, I think I remember seeing him a long time ago at the Comedy Store, like the first time I saw him in person, and one of my roommates eventually who moved in was one of my best friends, Chappelle Lacey. I don't know if you know him.
Yeah, I know him.
Very funny dude, great guy. And we'd go to the Comedy Store, and he knew Bobby, I think, from Arizona. And Bobby would just like run up on him and like kept calling him Shapai. And he would just run into the hallway.
That sounds like Bobby.
Who is this guy's crazy?
Right.
And then I didn't ever really talk to him. But I remember thinking he was just like wild. Like I was thinking we would probably never be friends. Like I don't think he would ever talk to me. But I'm not a little bit of a judgment on him, but also like my confidence level is so low.
Right.
Like there's no way. And I think Chappelle was telling me they went to like a bathhouse later that night. It was like this. I'm just not his type.
Crowd.
Of friend. Yeah.
Yeah.
But then what was really cool was, and I think it's too like him being sober and us meeting when he's sober is like really cool. Like that, I'm really glad he did that too, because he's just a little more level-headed. But I'd work at the Comedy Store and he'd just come over and talk to me, and not all the paid regulars do that, you know.
Yeah. And
so he was one of the most famous people to come, and he'd come over and talk to me, and made me feel really special, and we'd just riff and laugh. And
I mean, he has a really good eye for comedy and comedians, obviously, but I mean, probably you don't know that, but when we're shooting Bad Friends one day, he said, "Hey, there's a new person that I really like at the Comedy Store, and I wanna invite her and see how she works here." You know, that was I was like, "Okay, but yeah, her name is Jessie. This is her number. Let's try to get her here." You know, so he does pay attention to, you know, I think obviously his wild side. Everybody sees it, but then it's like, okay, if he likes someone for their, you know, qualities in comedy or whatever it is, he'll try to help, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, I see him working now.
Yeah.
Like I see him talking to the New Door guys. And
I'm
like, oh, it's awesome, because I know what he's doing. And I don't even think they understand.
Yeah.
Like how much. I told somebody last night who was a Door guy, because he said Bobby said he liked my set and was really happy about it.
Right.
And they said it's really cool if Bobby likes you. Similar to what you just said. I'm like, he doesn't like everybody.
No.
And you can have a great career if Bobby doesn't like you.
Yeah.
But if he does like you, it could help you out so much.
Yeah.
Like
and he obviously, you know, he has his own sense of humor and his type of comedy, so not everybody's gonna fit in that.
Yeah.
But yeah, and what about Andrew? So Bobby Weil, would we say that's the first impression?
Andrew was like more. It was harder for me to talk to him, which he hates to hear.
Yeah.
But he's not like, he doesn't come off as mean, but he just kind of has like he goes right into work and then leaves.
Yeah.
And so with Bobby, it's like, I think I was really intimidated to talk to most of the paid regulars, which was like a confidence thing on my end. But Bobby's very much of like, he's not like gonna knock on the door. He's gonna swing it wide open, like, "Hey," and like he approaches you.
You have to be dressed all the time around him. He'll open the door.
yeah. But you know what I mean? Like,
yes.
You don't have to go up and be like, "Hey, Bob." Like he'll come up to you and be like, "Hey, what are you doing here?"
Yeah.
You're like, "I'm working."
Yeah.
But with Andrew, it's like, I think you just go approach him, and that wasn't my style. He's like working. I don't want to bug anybody when I'm working there, you know.
So did you start talking to him really when you started doing Bad Friends? Like, was that
Yeah, I would talk to him maybe 3 words here, 3 words there. Like, you're going up next. It was like when I would work the room at the OR. Like, but then the first time I talked to him in length was that first episode. And for about 3 months, I want to say, all of our conversations were recorded. And it was kind of an interesting relationship to have. Like,
yeah.
Every time we hung out, it was just on air, basically.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, it's I mean, I feel like also, perception is different, because he comes across as less wild, right? More average, normal, like you can talk, but then it's interesting. He's more business. Yeah,
but he's really become one of my biggest mentors too.
Right. Like, I was gonna ask you, like, do you feel like they act as your mentors?
Yeah, Bobby is he is more like he's more of like the oracle, I think.
Yeah, he's the oracle.
Yeah, like in the sense of he will like depart wisdom on me when I need it.
Yeah.
He's not going to be like he's not gonna go out of his way to like it's like if there's something I need,
Yeah.
or like if I really have a problem, or like I know I could go to him.
Yeah. Give you a riddle.
Yeah, and it will be in a riddle. I won't quite know what he means.
Right.
But with Andrew, it's like I can text him, and like I feel like he'll respond.
He texts back. Yeah.
Yeah, and he's like, I know with these headlining shows, he's really been like sharing stuff on his story. For my headlining shows, he's like sharing stuff on his story, and I hope it sells out. He's texting me, and like, he took me on the road before the tour to Salt Lake City, and I featured for him there. And that's the first time I did stand-up where I went on stage and like everyone knew who I was, and that was a big confidence boost. And and now that club owner is having me back out on my own in the next month, so it's like there's been certain things he's done that have that really helped me too, and so it's our relationship has evolved.
Yeah. How cool is that? No, do you feel like you are like now living your life like as it's supposed to be?
Yes, it really feels like that, and it's interesting how like now I'm barely starting to headline, but this is it. This is the rest of the life.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about what you're up to these days. What are your new projects and things like that?
Well, I'm getting into headlining, and besides when I do feature, or go on the road with bad friends, or if I do any more feature dates with Jesselnick, etc., stuff like that, I'm headlining. So it's really exciting, and it's basically what I think the rest of my career is going to look like. It'll evolve in different ways, but I'll be working the road, and it's really exciting, and I'm focusing on building this hour. I'm incorporating my trumpet into the stand-up.
That's cool.
And it's been really fun. Last night, I like I said earlier, did Irvine, and it was almost sold out, which is a huge room. So it was really special to see that people came out. Almost a lot of bad friends.
Right.
Yeah. And it was cool, and I felt like I want to create something where people want to come back. You know? I don't want to just take advantage of this new following I have and get like a quick paycheck, you know what I mean? So I'm really trying to build something special, and it felt like people left excited, and they'll come back, and
that's
I just want to take it on the road.
And are you now, do you take someone who opens for you? Is that how it works?
It's so fun. Like, that's something really big that Andrew's literally sat me down and taught me directly. I think both him and Bobby, they also show me by example too, but is to pay it forward. And so that's something that I really look forward to doing as well, because it helped me do what I want to do. But I brought some, I think I'll mostly go through the door guys.
Right.
You
keep bringing people into the matrix now, in your case, instead of waking them up.
I'm bringing them in with the fun. Fun part.
The fun part.
But yeah, Felicia Folks and Willie Simon came with me last night, and I'm bringing Joel Jimenez on Saturday. And I can't afford to bring people when I fly yet, though. Right. But soon I will.
Right. Yeah. No, that's also when I feel like that about everything in general. I didn't have that mentality when I moved to the US, but seeing how that works, like if you help people, not only you feel good about it, but it's also you're putting that energy, and that can come back to you, and like it's you create that community, and I think it's cool to do that.
Yeah.
Okay, I have a question for you that Michael Rosenbaum left. He was our last guest, and he said, if you look in the mirror right now, do you really truly love what you do, and are you okay with being alone and not working as much? Could you, if you were not working as much, could you deal with it? Are you happy? Are you truly happy?
Yes. If I find joy of the work I do.
Yeah.
I think if I wasn't working as much, and I know it for a fact, I am less happy.
Right.
I think if I go a few days without stand up, it's like going through withdrawals. I have physical I'm not kidding. I have like physical reactions. It's probably not healthy.
Yeah. Okay. Yes.
But I love it. It's like
you-
the happiest I am is when I'm on stage.
Okay, so I have two final questions. One, like, what is something like a question that you could leave for the next guest? Like, what would be something that you are particularly interested in knowing about anyone that you meet?
If you could change one thing about yourself, what would it be?
Mm-hmm. That's great. So
Like-
what would it be for you
I would make healthier choices,
in terms of what?
like diet and drinking, and
Yeah.
exercise. Because I try, and I'll start hiking and I'll start eating healthy, and then I'll like last night I got a beef dip sandwich and French fries from Cancer, so like 1 a.m.
Okay. Yeah.
It's like
Like the Bobby, you're
No, don't say that.
following the Bobby diet.
I'm a Bobby Andrew hybrid
Yeah.
with a little bit of Just Nick and some Polly, and some Annie.
So, okay, my last question is, why do you think people who haven't seen this movie or people who have seen it like should watch or rewatch The Matrix?
I think people who haven't seen it are afraid. No, I'm kidding. But it is my favorite movie.
Yeah.
I think everyone should watch it because, like I said, there's so much metaphor in it. You could find anything in it that could speak to, I think, your journey. It's just the human journey and the human experience, or like the hero's journey, right? It's
Yeah,
like a
that's exactly.
perfect- Yeah.
It's like it has a lot of like that Christian like mythology in it, like the chosen person who's gonna sacrifice himself to save everybody else.
Yeah.
But it has so many meanings, like you said, so many layers.
Yeah, and watch it again because of all the layers. You'll see something new each time, and it had such a cultural impact. I think it's always worth revisiting.
Yeah.
And we're with AI now.
Yeah. Well, Jessie, thank you so much for coming, for letting us know you a little better.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
And everybody go watch The Matrix.
Do I get to keep this?
You get to keep that.